Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rum and Regret podcast. I am Andy Drake.
Johanna Myers.
Nate Tussey, and we drink and we know things.
It is Wednesday, October 11th. It's been a hot minute since we pressed the record button. Life gets in the way sometimes. So this is our Ahsoka final review. And of course, we can't do an Ahsoka review without the great Skott Bennett. Skott Bennett, back with us in the driver's seat.
Oh, so good to be here and watch all of you polish your Funko Pops.
Right.
Is that what you call it?
Yes. Good.
Most excellent.
Right. I was going to say, I think I've got Vader up here.
Right. Oh, man. It is scary, the cornucopia of Funko Pops I have within arm's reach right here. So.
I just inherited a bunch. Addie was like, I'm too old for Funko Pops. Handed them all to me in a box, and she has like some of the coolest stuff. That's ridiculous.
Someone has to do a study, and by the way, I will not yuck anyone's yum. I will say that the Funko Pop arena is one area of nerddom and collecting where I don't go.
Yeah.
But I've got young kids, and I've noticed that you just can't buy toys now that don't have like enormous heads and a shitload of accessories. Every toy has a gigantic head and shoes and purse and baseball bat and skateboard, like
right.
And
more shit to sell you.
Funko Pops like are in that category too. And I just wonder what it is in the culture that made people want toys with oversized heads.
Does it have anything to do with the oversized eyes that they always put on the cute things? Maybe
it could be. It could be like a
baby.
Exactly.
Thing.
Like you want.
But all the Funko Pops are black soulless eyes. They're not like the cute anime eyes.
Yeah,
that's funny.
It's
a child to someone.
I just think when there's a trend that pervasive across cultures and expressions and everything, like there's something else going on, and I don't know. Maybe one day I'll uncover the secret. But anyway, sorry for that.
No. I can simply say, as a person with an oversized head, I finally feel represented in the action figure landscape. So I think that's why I love the Funko Pop so much, is that they're me. I can. I'm just So let's just get into it. So the last time we talked, it was mid-season. We had just gotten the teaser that Ahsoka was in the World Between Worlds. We had just seen Anakin show up. And so sure enough, like we have all of that to talk through tonight. And more. And so, and again, we can start sort of right where we left off, where it sort of jumps into this, these wonderful sort of Rebels, live action Rebels, sort of replays of these battles, and young Ahsoka and Anakin, sort of going through the, her learning her lessons sort of process.
Let's make sure let's throw out the Clone Wars is where it happens, so we don't get nerd struck from the internet.
Yeah,
because that's immediately where my mind went. This is all Clone Wars stuff.
Well, I mean, and so as someone who's only picked a few episodes here and there to watch, please shame me all sorts. But Scott, like watching this episode in particular. As a fan of the animated series, like, what did you think of this episode in particular?
I think what I liked was it didn't take me out of the moment and make me think too hard about the animated series. I mean, there were moments like when Captain Rex walks through the frame.
Yeah.
Of course, are some pretty emotional callbacks.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it didn't matter, which battles they were jumping back and forth from. I know she mentioned the Siege of Mandalore, but it just showed like her progression of what she had to learn, what Anakin was trying to show her, and that's an example I think of. I think it's a fair criticism that much of the characterization and story probably is lost on people who didn't watch the animated series. We talked a bit about that last time,
Yeah.
and that's fair. But I think that episode in particular, you don't need to have seen any of those shows to feel the impact. I mean, you understand
Right.
that she was a Padawan during the Clone Wars, and they had a very unique relationship, and I thought that really came across.
Yeah.
So from a story wise, I thought it was a home run. I thought the lightsaber battle. I don't know. All the neckbeards are whining about Rosario Dawson's. Well, actually, not all of them, but some loud people on the internet are saying that the lightsaber duels were underwhelming, and it's like as long as the duel is story driven, like I'm not going to tie myself into knots over who has the best stunt double. I don't care.
Right.
Like the choreography is secondary to the story to me. Like unless it's so bad that it takes you out of it, which it was not. So anyway, sorry.
Well, they were saying the same thing about the finale with Maul and Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
which is completely story driven. If you know what the hell is going on,
exactly.
Like, at first I went, "What the hell? That's it?" But then, okay, I'll rewatch it a few times, Google a little bit, and oh shit, it's completely tactical.
Yeah, there's story embedded in the forms that. Oh, anyway, we know we're talking about Rebels, but so okay. I thought it was really it was fascinating because Ahsoka was at a point where she was not committing to moving forward. She just was saying, "Oh, I think she said, I go where I'm needed."
Yeah.
And Anakin just basically put it in front of her. It's like you can't just you've got it's like life or death at this point. You can't you've got to go in all the way.
Yeah.
And reconnect yourself to what matters, or you're just going to drown in this on this planet.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really well done. The other really great piece of dialogue in there was when she calls him out for becoming Darth Vader, and he just says, "Is that what this is about?"
Yeah.
And I thought, like, it took me a second, but then I realized, God, that is so brilliant, because he's like, we're not here to talk about my shit. We're here because of where you're at. And I thought that was really great. So from just a story point of view, and dialogue, it just hit all the right buttons. I thought, I don't know how it could be done better. I really enjoyed it. The effects were great. The kind of the way he would morph from Vader back to Anakin.
Yeah.
The transitions were on point. Daddy was going nuts over those. The TikTok generation was celebrating that.
Yeah, just beautiful. And then from a critical point of view, or production point of view, I thought Hayden's acting was sensational. I thought, especially that moment at the end where he literally turns back into Anakin, like in front of your eyes, like he goes from the yellow-eyed Sith to like having that smirk.
Yeah,
it was proof, and I think I said something along these lines last time, and George Lucas has many gifts. But working with actors is not one of them, and I think a lot of really great actors suffered in the prequels because of that.
Yeah.
The prequels have a lot of great ideas and some uneven execution and some bad acting, but I don't think that's on the actors, and I think Natalie Portman and Ewan McGregor, they all got a pass because they've been great in other things. Sam Jackson has been great in other things.
Yeah.
And Hayden Christensen has been getting beat up for a decade plus because of his performance, and I always had a suspicion that there was a good actor in that guy that just needed to be unleashed, and this episode is proof of that. By the way, I just love how the live action series are giving these moments of redemption to people like Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor to an extent, even Ahmed Best.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Especially him.
I think we all need to do right by Jake Lloyd. Like, I think
absolutely.
he got so he quit the business, and I think he got into some trouble. I don't want to speculate, but that guy got a raw deal as well. Anyway, another tangent, but that episode was the heart of the series. The way that you see Rosario's performance change at the end of it was great. So all the the reaction to her being so stoic and dry and not really committing to anything in that first handful of episodes, that shift at the end of this one and then throughout the rest of the series. We're just going. We're going to follow these whales. Who knows what'll happen? Like, that is not something she would have said. The episode previous. So I watched it twice, that episode, just because I didn't want to. I wanted to go back and like see what I missed, but big fan. No notes.
Yeah. So now, Joe, as someone who didn't really catch the animated stuff for this episode especially, when you were watching this, what did you like? How did you sort of interpret this episode?
To Scott's point, you really don't need that much context. Like, it's pretty cut and dry what's going on. And it's like, I've seen a handful of episodes, and like basically I knew all I needed to know is like Ahsoka is Anakin's Padawan,
right.
And the only thing, like I think I mentioned in the last podcast, is I have no idea what this whole world between worlds thing is, but I'm guessing it's some kind of limbo situation, and so it again, like it didn't take away anything from me watching it. I was like, kind of like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you brought that up, because that was another thing that would have been really, all these Star Wars shows it's really hard to have, expository dialogue to explain all the things that are happening. And that was another kind of masterstroke, was we saw the world between worlds and it didn't have to be explained.
Right.
The trope of the hero coming close to death and having a vision and making a choice, that goes back centuries in storytelling. And if that's all the world between worlds was in the Ahsoka show, then fine, perfect, right? We know it's more than that. If you watched Rebels, like, you have more of an explanation and more of a context, and that's cool too. But again, like this was maybe the only episode that really threaded the needle perfectly in terms of not of like, you don't need all this backstory from the other shows.
Right. And I love the parallel. Well, the internet, you got to love the internet. I love the internet parallels of her starting as Ahsoka the Gray and then becoming Ahsoka the White. And I mean, and to your point, her attitude completely changes, and her mannerisms change, and and just to sort of hit us over the head with it, her outfit changes. Like, and it really, she's a different person now. She got what she needed to get from Anakin and her experience in the world between worlds to relive these events and see what she needed to see in order to become, the person that she needed to become for the second half of the series.
So speaking of the outfit change, is this the first time we see comfy socks in Star Wars?
It's the first time we see bald Ahsoka in Star Wars, and I don't want to see it again. It was so weird. But like, wait, what's missing? Oh God, her headdress is missing. Oh, and he gets the upgraded White Lotus version.
Nate, what did you think of this?
Geez. So this episode came off my previous favorite episode, which would have been episode 4, because it had some of the best Star Wars fights, lightsaber fights that we've seen in TV, at least, and pretty much Star Wars in general. The main fight between Baylan and Ahsoka was just fantastic, and I loved the kind of the Shin Sabine fight in the forest was really cool too. Just the great juxtaposition there. But anyway, that was the wrong episode. This would have easily overtook that as the best episode of the series so far at this point. And I love the context that it adds to the Clone Wars, where the Jedi are actually using child soldiers to fight their war. Like she's a teen in the Clone Wars, so she doesn't really spend much time in the temple. She's not, a bookworm. She's on the battlefield, being taught how to kill and lead soldiers and survive basically. And so this episode was really like her. It's like her crucible to push through her cave on Dagobah, kind of thing, to kind of become her master or see what could happen if she would become her master, push through the other side and kind of become whole. He has a chance to finish his training. I think he literally says that in the episode, that he wants to finish her training. Again, like Scott called out, the transitions where Hayden is walking and then there's a flash and he's Vader and there's a flash and he's back. And the transitions from the World Between Worlds to the battlefields from the Clone Wars and from the prequel trilogy, really just fantastic. So the lightsaber fights I think were perfect. I wouldn't have changed anything. I love how you get the sense of raw power that Anakin has, where he's just doing a one parry and a step and it knocks Ahsoka back, several steps. It's really fantastic. I love how he got his like Obi-Wan flourish again, on one of the walkways of the World Between Worlds. It was fantastic. I love the fact that we got Tamara Morrison as all of the clones, and obviously Rex shows up. We also got the painted clone trooper helmets. That are painted like Ahsoka's markings, because that was her regiment. Just a lot of great. I mean, it's fantastic. They mentioned. I think was this the episode where they talk about? Is this where Hera is under trial too?
No, that was the next one. Yeah, that's this one is when they give the, and we need to talk about the end of this episode because that was really spectacular as well. Like the escape from the surface and recruiting the pod of Purgle.
Right.
And all the stuff they had to do with the New Republic fleet, like that was just really well done.
Well, and
it was fantastic.
And you get Jason at the sort of the point where he can hear Ahsoka in the World Between Worlds. What
he can hear the lightsaber fighting. He mentions that. Can you hear the lightsabers?
And I thought that was interesting too, because this was kind of his last, that was his last sort of big scene in the series. Like he didn't really have a whole lot to do. I don't think we saw him towards.
No, we shouldn't either, because you don't take a kid to another galaxy.
Again, but we do see, to Scott's point, we do see Hera. Right. Yeah. We do see her. And so, but just the launching off to the other galaxy.
It'll be great when Ezra gets to train Jason like Kanan trained him.
Oh yeah.
That's going to be an amazing full circle moment when that happens.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. And I mean, we can, let's talk about the sort of the end of that episode. And I think that we can just talk about the whole sort of back half of the series as one, because I think it's I mean, there's so much in there, but again, I don't know that we need to break it down episode by episode.
Can I throw out this quote real quick from this episode that I found online? Give it to Filoni to dedicate the entire episode to a Lord of the Rings reference. Ahsoka literally fights her version of a Balrog, falls into shadow before emerging dressed in white, like Gandalf the White. She seems even more cheerful than before, more like her old self. So both of what you guys said, but I just love the way that quote put it together.
Yeah, no, it totally works.
Yeah.
I also think that this is where and I like the series as a whole. So no, this is not shade on the first, half of the series, but things turn a corner, obviously, in a big way in the story, but also in the characterizations. And I feel like after this episode, this really great thing happens where the stakes get raised in very real ways, and it gets more fun. And what's more Star Wars than that?
Right.
And so at the conclusion of this episode, we have the beginning of the next one, the Eye of Sion, arrives on Peridia. Yeah. And, and we know that Ahsoka's on the way. we meet Thrawn. We can talk about that. Oh god, the design of the night troopers.
Oh man,
was just, I mean, there are times when we get, version of Stormtrooper number 789. I'm like, okay, have you not sold enough toys yet?
right.
This time it was like, holy shit, that's cool.
Yeah.
And the way they had like I presume like the garments of the Night Sisters, like wrapped around their armor, and what's the name of that freaky captain? He looks like a Micronaut.
Oh, was it like Enoch or something like that?
Yeah, Enoch.
Okay. Yeah, Enoch. I mean, that dude is interesting. We don't even know why.
I know, like the Roman mask in the Stormtrooper armor, like
it's crazy.
It was I think was one of the coolest visuals that you could have ever done for a Stormtrooper. Like you're so used to seeing.
It made me uncomfortable. Like it was in like a good way,
Right.
And again, like so the series turns a corner. The stakes get raised. It gets more fun. It also just starts getting weird again, like the Noti, the turtle people.
Yeah.
A planet full of, again, like we've seen this in Star Wars many times, but a planet full of a somewhat primitive species who help our heroes do what they need to do.
Right.
And then you've got Sabine banished. The story of what Balin is really after starts to take shape, although you don't really know. He just wants to break some kind of cycle, and he thinks the secret's on the planet, and then we have Ezra and Sabine reuniting, and if you did watch Rebels, like the way that they just ease into the relationship as it was on the show was just great.
Yeah, the banter was back almost immediately.
Yep.
Did we lose you?
Yeah.
I'm still here.
Okay. Yeah, I felt that, and I really appreciated like what they must have done as actors to really sort of bring that home and make you feel like they're almost extensions of their animated characters, right? Like for two actors who have never portrayed these characters before and have ever had to interact to come together, and you could really sort of see, it really just speaks to the writing of the episodes and saying, and I mean, and that's the thing too, is that, I mean, Filoni really, obviously these are his characters, right? And, like no one else could have done this, right? I don't think anyone other than Filoni could have put together an Ahsoka series and made it as good or as interesting as it came out to be. But yeah, I mean, Thrawn showing up in the sort of in the gold, like the streaks of gold Star Destroyer, like, oh my God, like I just thought, I mean, and I've always been fascinated with the stories of what's the word I'm looking for, of exile, right? Mm-hmm. And what you have to do to sort of survive, and like Thrawn, and the whales jump Thrawn and Ezra to like Night Sister Central, right? Which couldn't have worked out any better for Thrawn, right? So I just thought that, I mean, and the what are they, the mothers, like the night, are they night mothers? Are they, what were they called?
Night Sisters, the Great Mothers.
Great Mothers, right?
They're a group of Night Sisters, like the OG progenitor Night Sisters, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, and I know that the Night Sisters have been part of this sort of ancillary Star Trek universe, like they never
Star Trek.
Well, I'm sorry, Star Wars universe. Sorry.
That would have been really cool, though. Come on,
I did it. I went there. Sorry.
Warp speed before Disney acquires them quickly.
Yeah. So anyway, I just to have them come in canon and to have them be so like prevalent to this story, right? And to be so much of a factor of Thrawn being able to keep his numbers in a way, right?
Survive and
really, like don't really have to worry about losing people because we'll just snap them right back. Everything will be fine.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think that happens until the end, though. I think they're stranded on this planet for 5 years. They have the armors repaired. They probably have like some mojo going around with the red cloth.
Well, those recycled Death Troopers didn't look good.
No, they were definitely dead at the end.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What I mean is that the way. Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves now because in the last episode, there's the whole recruitment scene, and Thrawn is kind of, were they informed of what's happening? Like, it seems like those are his ride or die guys that have been around for 5 years, like part of those people that he's survived with for so long.
Yeah,
It's that's why it kind of seems like they weren't all barbecued.
well, yeah. So, but the Dark Jedi that Ahsoka defeats on the planet that they jump from, that green mist rises from him when he.
Right, but we don't get that on any of the other guys.
Well, yeah, and so I figured it was sort of a lesser magic since Morgan wasn't necessarily like fully powered at this point to bring.
Yeah, I think that's a safe assumption.
Yeah.
In terms of what they're made of. No, I don't know. The Night Troopers might already be dead. Some of them might be alive. Some of them might be dead. Like we don't know. Ultimately, it doesn't matter.
Right.
There was some. I'm sorry. I don't mean to like. I don't mean.
No, you're right.
Like it was a great design, and then later on, like the way that they tied all those threads together. I love how, for those who are fans of the animated series, the way Filoni took, arguably the most compelling toys from those shows and dropped them into this. So, Night Sisters, and stuff, and then we'll talk about the final scene in a second. But then there are also some really great tiebacks to original trilogy, which I'm old as fuck, so I appreciate. But having C-3PO come in and kind of save the day with Princess Leia, kind of pulling the strings and getting her out of a jam, that was really great. Also, the beginning of the episode when Yang is telling stories to Ahsoka that he used to tell back in the Jedi Temple, and he starts with a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Right.
Like that's like
the crawls were him the whole time.
I know. It's just that could have been so cheesy and so dumb, but it was just so perfect from that, in that moment, from that character to it just I don't know. There's
it didn't feel.
I loved it too, and he was telling her kind of what for, and then she was just like, you know what, never mind, tell me those stories you told me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear your shit right now.
But to your point, Scott, it never felt forced. Like that line didn't feel forced, and it fit in the perfect way to like I don't know that any Star Wars fan heard that and groaned, like I think and it could easily have been a grown moment if it wasn't done right, and I just think it was done perfectly.
And not to point out the obvious, but they are literally going to another galaxy that was far, far away as he's telling the story. Just everything clicked. So I'm sure, Filoni was patting himself on the back after writing that line. I know what I'm going to do. So let me see. What have we left out? So then we get the gang all back together on Peridia. And
we get that sort of pre-battle where they want to give Sabine wants to give Ezra back his lightsaber, and he's like, no, not now, and he's doing his little his little
his drunken master way of the force situation.
That's the perfect way to put it. That is the perfect way to put it. And I loved loved that part of it. I thought that episode in particular was just sort of a of all the episodes, it was a little less substancy, before the end, and I just thought that it seemed like they were trying to fill time in a way. But again, we did need to see sort of what Ezra sort of has become in his exile in a way, hanging with the turtle people. And then eventually after sort of fighting with Sabine and Ahsoka again, he's like, okay, no, I need a lightsaber. I need to build.
That was a touching scene when he, completes his lightsaber and hears stories about his master, Kanan Jarrus, from Yang. That was another another callback, but not. It moved the story along. It was more than just fan service. And I don't know, it was like really exciting to see Ezra in live action, flick the switch and have that blue blade come out. It was just like awesome.
I mean, talk about perfect casting. Like beyond Bale. So Ray Park as Balin, my favorite character,
Ray Stevenson,
obviously in this entire series. Ray Stevenson, Ray Park. Jesus.
It's okay, dude. I said Star Trek earlier. That's okay.
My brain. Okay, there you go. That's the one I get. No pressure. The casting for Ezra was absolutely spot on. Like initially, I was like, but he nailed it. Just perfect, out of the park, and the chemistry he had with Sabine and everyone was perfect, kind of just on point. I do really love to continue a little bit on that moment you're talking about, Scott, where Hugh Yang was like, oh, that makes so much sense. Yeah, Caleb, he was a very maybe a little oversensitive, the kind of thing, just kind of rewinding, teaching him how to make a saber, and then Base finds the same emitter, like the sister emitter to the one that he gave to Kanan when he built his lightsaber, and then he's like, oh, perfect. And there was a little thing I just watched earlier, I think it was a Nerdist review, where there was, when he's building his lightsaber, and he's like, no, that emitter is too narrow. It was like a dig at supposedly it was a dig at the Rebels series, because all of their lightsabers are like super thin, like like paper clip thin. So they have a bunch of those hidden kind of Easter eggs throughout the entire thing. Just to call back real quick on, is this back in episode 6, maybe? So when they actually arrive in Peridia, the Eye of Silent arrives, and they meet Thrawn. Thrawn chooses to honor Baylan Skoll's promise by letting Sabine go out, gives her a mount, gives her provisions. Here's where Ezra is, and it's all part of his larger. Well, he folds it into his larger plan of how to get Ahsoka away from him. And because he knows that she's super powerful or whatever. But there was a bunch of back and forth in that moment with Baylan and Thrawn talking about, you're not the only Jedi who's fallen, and a bunch of kind of undercurrent things that, we're not going to get paid. We're not going to be able to pay it off in the way that we'd like to, but hopefully there's a payoff at some point for that kind of thing. So, and then I think, we're getting close to talking about the finale, but when Ahsoka finally makes it to Peridia, and the space whales encounter a fucking minefield. So I'm watching this entire series with my 14-year-old. Okay, she loves Star Wars. She loves Ahsoka. We're going through this. I have to wait for her for every episode. We're going through this, absolutely enjoying it. And then the whales hit a minefield, and I'm like, oh my god, please don't kill a fucking whale. It was already the amazing thing about this location is that the rings are made of the bones of the Purgil, and this is where they come to die. It's a planet of death. That's why they brought Thrawn there, because it's a planet of death, basically. And so it's like, God, please just do not kill the. I know it's Disney, but please don't kill a whale in space. Thankfully,
when I texted you guys, I'm like, am I about to watch a Star Wars
Right,
get
yeah.
killed? Because I'm not going to be away. Like before this, I was all, ooh, Thrawn, he's the villain. The Elder Mickelson. Ooh.
Yeah.
And then the minute he's just like, kill the space whale, I'm like, he must die. Fuck you, Thrawn.
Oh, yeah.
You were dead to me.
Yeah, the nice touch of the rings being made up of the whale bones, and yeah, it was great, and a good demonstration of Thrawn's being the master strategist and tactician, laying the groundwork for that, and just the fact that he would try things, and he's like the anti-imperial officer, because he would try something, it wouldn't work, and he'd be like, okay, let's do something else now. Like, we lost a couple TIE fighters. All right, well, acceptable.
Right.
Now we'll do this. Whereas all the other officers and like every other Star Wars, just like, let's keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Our asses kicked
by the book.
So
well, when Elsbeth informs him that, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you, Scott. Go for it.
I know it's okay, but that's another thing that makes him dangerous. And I think perhaps maybe a little misunderstood by the general public, whoever they are, watching this show. Like, why is he so calm? Like, why doesn't he care? And it's because they're used to seeing a certain type of Imperial, and Thrawn is not that. So that was great.
Yeah,
to that point when Elspeth informs him that Ahsoka was trained by Anakin, he's like, oh.
He's like, oh.
Shit. Basically, there's an internal oh shit moment.
Yeah.
He says it several times. Like, there's no, I think in the episode 8, there's going to be no negotiation with the apprentice of Anakin Skywalker kind of thing. But he switches up his approach as far as trying to locate Ahsoka in the Purgil roundup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was,
which is super cool.
Sorry, and that was like the tiniest falter of the even keel that you talked about, Scott, which it's one thing to see someone so like angry and deranged, but it's also, I think, even more frightening to see someone who, like, again, is so just like, yeah, okay, let's just move on to the next thing. Let's figure this out, and it's all.
He doesn't need to win. He has contingencies. He doesn't need to win every single battle to still be a few steps ahead, which he is. There's a lot out there about. We're going to get to the ending, and this might be a good bridge observation to get us there.
Yeah.
A lot has been made of all this unresolved stuff at the end of the show, as if no one's ever seen a cliffhanger before. Is it really unresolved? Like let's go down the list.
Do you have a list? I want to see the list.
I have a list. Like, all the main characters get what they want or what they need.
Yeah.
Does Thrawn escape exile? Yes. Does Sabine find Ezra? Yes. Does Ahsoka get her mojo back? Yes. Does Ezra get to go home? Yes. Does Morgan Elsbeth get to become more powerful? Yes, for about 10 minutes.
Right.
And does Balin, find, or at least get closer to what he's looking for? Yes. And I don't really. It's funny how a lot of our conversations when I come on this podcast are a reaction to, angry YouTubers, but the people are like, oh, there's no payoff, there's no character development. No, that is the definition of character development.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
This is my goal, and then they end in a place, and either the goal happens or either they get what they want or they get what they need.
Yeah.
And in this instance, like, all the main characters, got what they wanted or what they needed. So I thought that was really well done. So let's talk about how everybody ends up. So, the one, there's a key moment where Sabine finally taps into the Force.
Yeah.
She's getting choked out and she reaches for the lightsaber. I thought that was well played. Obviously, that reminds me of, nothing focuses you like about, like imminent death, right? So like the first time we see Luke use the Force, is on Hoth when he's about to get eaten by the Wampa. And what does he do?
Mhm.
You know, he reaches out and he gets his lightsaber pops into his hand. Same thing with Rey and in The Force Awakens. Like there was a nice parallel there.
Yeah.
That like, you know, she was getting closer and closer. She was hearing whispers, and then suddenly everything had to focus in that moment. And then, you know, a few minutes later, she's able to, you know, help Ezra, you know, jump whatever it was, 100 feet, you know, to the Star Destroyer. It was, you know, that was really cool. So there's another example of a character getting what they want. You know, she's a Jedi now. She's tapped into the Force. She has her teacher back. So she ended up in a good place. Morgan Elsbeth. So she becomes the Great Mothers decide to make her a Night Sister. And then almost immediately Thrawn says, yeah, you got to go sacrifice yourself to slow everybody down, which sucked because I really wanted to see,
it really sucked.
I wanted to see that character just unleashed and that, you know, we know the history of this actress, right?
She's Bruce Lee's great goddaughter,
and like her father, I think was someone who taught Bruce Lee, and she's like in the martial arts world. She's a giant, and so I knew like eventually, you know, she's gonna get, and just like that scene she had in the Mandalorian episode with Ahsoka, really, you know, tremendous fight scene. I was waiting for to see what she could do, and that duel did not disappoint. The Great Mothers gave her the blade of Talzin, which is another callback to
such a great deep cut. Oh my god!
Yeah. So, and not every lightsaber fight can end in a standoff. We already saw a lot of that in this series.
Yeah.
But part of me was just hoping that this one would, because there was just so much potential in that character. So I don't know, maybe, you know, no one ever stays dead in Star Wars, so who knows what will happen.
She might not be dead. The sisters were still chanting and the stormtroopers were still rising.
We've reached D&D Star Wars where we got necromancers.
Hey, there's literally a spell called Green Flame Blade,
right,
in D&D. So
I was hoping we get more of her, but I think she got a good death if that is her death.
Well, yeah, no, I do love the fact that one of Ahsoka's lightsabers was cut, and then she ended up the dual cut on the chest of Morgan Elsbeth at the end. I thought was really cool and just really done well. But I mean, can we assume that in terms of bringing people back to life, like what they were loading onto the Star Destroyer were past Night Sisters?
Night Sisters or dead stormtroopers, or I would assume, you know, like making some unstoppable army of the dead. Talk about Lord of the Rings,
right.
Might be on the agenda for wherever things go next. So I think that's a safe
notes on that one
assumption.
Yeah, I have a couple notes on that one. So all of those sarcophagi, whatever, came out of the temple, right, or their fortress. So yeah, it's probably a mix of maybe some Thrawn people, but I don't think he would inter them, right?
Sure.
So it's got to be Night Sisters or Night Sister adjacent. And one of the things I saw that was interesting online, everyone's assuming they're caskets, right? They all have, a lot of them have lights on them. So maybe they're like cryo units or something like that. So it's possible that a majority of them are dead, but some of them might just be Night Sisters in stasis. So when they finally get back to Dathomir, they actually have like the full-on coven going on. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, so here's where I kind of got confused, because I kind of just assumed the planet they were on was Dathomir.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where they go at the end of it. So Dathomir is the Night Sister planet, right?
Yeah. So the planet we're on, Peridia, is where the Night Sisters came from originally.
Okay.
And then they came to the Star Wars galaxy, the main galaxy, and then Dathomir is where they settled there. And Dathomir is also where you get Darth Maul. Those are the men on Dathomir are Darth Maul, spiky head boys. Yeah. All the ladies are the Night Sisters typically.
Right.
So that's their whole plan, and that's why they teamed up with Thrawn in the first place and had to use Morgan Elsbeth as the ET phone home lady,
Yeah, like,
so
we'll
that
help
they could,
you-
so
we'll help
she
you
could get to
survive.
them, so they could get back there. Right?
Like, we'll help you survive your exile, but if you ever leave, you need to help us repopulate Dathomir, because for whatever reason
Right.
they can't fly on the space whales anymore, which would have been awesome.
Right.
Or maybe they can go in them little mouths like Ahsoka did. So we get the Ezra gets to go home. He gets off the stolen shuttle in an Imperial disguise. Yet another Rebels callback, because
Yep.
it's he was always pulling the Scooby Doo villain on Rebels and like dressing up as a storm. He had a collection of stormtrooper helmets, and then it was just very emotional reunion with Hera, who's like the space mom of the whole Rebels crew.
Right.
So that was a big moment for her. But let's talk about Hati and Balin for a second. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So Nate, can you set up the Balin payoff? Because I'm so embarrassed to say this. I missed it the first time. I didn't take in what the statue was.
No way,
really?
Yeah.
Oh no.
I can't. I don't know. I think I was just too. I was too wound up in the end of the show.
Sure.
Same. No, totally.
Details. And then so I'm like, no, that means something. I'll run it back. And then the second time I'm like, oh, idiot! How could you miss? Anyway.
So we actually have to back up to episode 7 then if we're going to do that. So there's episode 7. There's a fight between that brings all of the crew back together, right?
Yeah.
Where Shin and Balin and a bunch of the stormtroopers, death troopers that were sent out in 2 of the Imperial transports go to the Turtle Circle and are basically running shit at that point until that's where Ezra does his Jeet Kune Do with the Force, and we've got everyone else going through, and then Ahsoka does the low flyby, like drop me off kind of thing, and they fly. Hu Yang flies the ship really low. She does the barrel roll and gets into the fight. They all get back together. She turns the tide, and then she actually offers to have Hati join them. She's like, I can help you, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she takes off. And that's because the night troopers get recalled by Thrawn. And he's like, we're getting ready to leave, kind of thing. And they leave her there. So she takes off. So now when we're in episode 8, at the end of the series, earlier in episode 7, Balin basically tells Shin that she needs to walk another path. She's basically trying to, her desire for power and that kind of thing is going to lead her towards the Empire, and he has a different path. He wants to find the beginning of everything to break the circle, basically, and break this loop of recurring Jedi rise and fall and Empire rise and fall kind of thing. So then the payoff in episode 8, when we only see him for a brief moment, which is such a disservice. There has to be stuff on the cutting room floor we could have added to get more of him at the end of this series, but it really, to your point earlier, Scott, it closes the loop on what he's trying to do to a certain degree, and I get why some people would poo-poo that, but it's a setup more than anything else. Like this is such a huge moment, and if you don't get it, then Google it.
Yeah.
It's huge. So we see him basically. I'm drawing a blank. What are the names of the 2 statues in
the Mortis God? So it's the father, the brother, and the sister.
Oh no, I'm sorry. In Lord of the Rings, the ones that are stopping.
Oh, I forget.
I should.
Yeah, Joe. Yeah, where? Damn it, Joe. Where are you on this one?
Okay. Anyway, so it's a great parallel between the 2 of those, but it's basically a giant statue of the father that there's a zoom out, and Balin is standing on the outstretched finger of the father, basically, which is one of the 3 Mortis gods. You actually see the sun next to him in the pullout, and then if you look closely, it's kind of hard to see actually in the show. There's the destroyed statue of the sister
who represents the light side of the Force.
The light side of the Force, right? Yeah. So the father is the balance, the son is the dark, and the sister was the light, or the daughter. Yeah. She also is the one who sacrificed herself for Ahsoka, which I think is why the statue is broken, and she is represented by the Morai, which is the owl, which is at the very end. So
Right. So
we'll leave that one
Yeah.
alone.
exactly. So Ahsoka sees, you'd think that, oh crap, we're stuck in another galaxy with no way home, and Ahsoka is just very trust in the Force. It's all going to be okay. Then she sees Morai, so she knows that the sister is near, or there's some connection to Mortis. Although I think it's unclear how much Ahsoka remembers, because I think on the Mortis arc in the Clone Wars, I think everybody gets away from there, but they forget everything, as I recall. I hope I'm right about that. But so she just gets a vibe that everything's going to be okay, and then of course we get the Sabine senses a presence as well, who we then find out is Anakin in his Return of the Jedi shtick, hiding in the bushes and smiling as a blue ghost. So that was another big payoff. So I mean, my mind is racing. I don't know where it's going to go next. I do get the sense that I am not a sequel trilogy hater, but the criticism that there was no plan is spot on, because there wasn't. I get the sense we have a plan. We have a plan for this one, and love it or hate it, there is a plan, and it is mapped out, and I think all the pieces in place, and we know it's going somewhere. And there's all kinds of fun speculation that I'm doing, and I don't like to talk about Star Wars on the internet because you know why, but
you could talk with us. This is a safe space for you.
There's a lot of I don't know. I can't wait to see where it goes next. Speaking of next, what do we know about Skeleton Crew? Anybody?
Isn't it? I mean, the trailer for the second season is out, isn't it?
No, we haven't had.
No, Skeleton Crew is with Jude Law.
Oh, that's right. Action. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Next live action show is Skeleton Crew. All I know is
I was thinking Bad Batch. That's why.
I've heard it described as kind of like Stand By Me in Star Wars. So it's a coming of age story, and but it's not. It's with kids, but it's not like a kids show,
right?
And
no, not at all.
And Jude Law is in it. That's all I know. And I know that it's placed in this same section of time as the rest of the Mandoverse,
right?
So. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, they've already confirmed that Ahsoka season 2 apparently is in the works. I think the original plan was going to be that we'd go from backing up for a minute. We did skip Thrawn's exposition at the end of the series, which was perfect, where Ahsoka is trying to catch up with him, and he's like, "Open a channel," and basically is like, "Ha ha," and leaves. But it was perfect, and it was spot on for Thrawn from the animated series. Obviously, it's the same voice, same actor, and just perfectly done. Long live the Empire!
Yeah,
and then gone, deuces, and he leaves. But I think originally the plan was that this series was going to lead to the Thrawn first movie in that Thrawn, potentially a trilogy. However, I think it's been flipped now to go to Ahsoka season 2, which they initially didn't intend to have, from what I can tell. They were going to use the movies as the next kind of chapters in this. So
I thought it was
potentially
be like another Mandalorian season.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That was going to fill the gaps in like some of the other characters.
Maybe, and we know that the Skeleton Crew takes place in the same timeline, but it wasn't necessarily developed with the creators of The Mandalorian. I don't think the show has much involvement from Filoni and Favreau, although I'm sure they all talk to each other and kind of map things out.
Right.
But so it'll be interesting. Can't wait to see where it goes next. We have much to look forward to. Maybe some Boba Fett redemption,
right?
In us, Acolyte series sounds really interesting to me.
It does look really cool.
Yeah, that looks really good. That's going to be dark as hell. And did you see that the Lando series that was in development has now been flipped to a movie? If you listen to, so
Yeah, I get iffy when I hear new Star Wars movie because they just always seem to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Lando with Donald Glover and his brother running it, give me all of the
Okay,
tickets.
don't-
Like I will.
Don't say it's happening until it's in production. Like until like cameras have run.
Well,
Yeah, if we can get
until
Kathy Kennedy out of the mix, we'll
and
be
they change
better
directors halfway through, then you know it's happening.
Right. No, exactly. Yeah. When we hear about a
Yeah,
change
if
in
Kathy
directors,
Kennedy's
then we
involved
can
heavily.
bank that a movie's going to come out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you, Scott. I totally, I think this was a step in the right direction for Star Wars. Like, I think, you know, going to another galaxy, expanding the universe with the Night Sisters and Thrawn and the Night Troopers, and now shoving them in to the main Star Wars galaxy is just, I think, a step in the right direction for the future of Star Wars and where it needs to go. And yeah, let speculation start as to what happens next and where it goes next. And you know, just be good. Just be good moving forward.
You know where it goes next is I hope it goes next. I hope the opening scene is someone saying somehow Thrawn has returned.
Right.
Like, just give that to me.
Yeah.
What Dameron's dad or something.
Right. Yeah.
Somehow Thrawn has returned.
Right. Yeah. Joe, what did you think Ahsoka as a whole?
I enjoyed it, and I want to see more Night Sisters. I think that was my favorite part.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's I have to look up the arc in the Clone Wars. It's maybe 5 or 6 episodes. Kind of. There's a couple back to back, and then there's a couple that are kind of interspersed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fantastic. And you'll hate Dooku all the more.
Yeah, like Dooku and Grievous for what happens to the night.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, like don't make me hate Grievous. I love Grievous.
Don't love Grievous.
Everything, yeah. I mean, everything. There's just so many cool things that have, you know, their ties back to the Night Sisters, including Darth Maul, Asajj Ventress. Like, there's just a lot of cool crossover stories happening there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some of the best lightsaber fights you will ever see occur in that animated series. Like there's a fight between the Emperor and a couple people that I'm sure you guys know about it. I know you, Scott, you know about it. But go look it up, watch the episode.
Yeah.
At least, because it's fucking fantastic. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this does make me want to watch the animated series for sure.
Yeah, I think I definitely want to go back and watch it in progression and not, you know, the sort of essential episodes like I did leading up.
There's a lot of it. I mean, the machete order for Clone Wars is actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a lot. It's still a ton of content.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you can make it through Supernatural multiple times, Joe, you'll love this.
And I'll say,
I gotta finish Critical Role first. So
Jesus, okay.
I'll give you the same advice I give everybody who wants to check out the animated series. Is one good way to think about it is the Harry Potter movies started out for a young audience and then aged with that audience and got progressively darker and more mature. I feel like the Clone Wars does something similar. The first
100%.
season and a half, 2 seasons or so, skews kind of young, still fun, still Star Wars, but it really starts to pick up its stride and feel like just kind of like, you know, darker, more down to earth, so to speak, in season 3, and then it finishes as strong as probably has the best finish of any Star Wars series. That final arc is jaw dropping. Rebels, same thing. I remember watching it back in the days before streaming, when I was like, I don't know about this show. There's a wisecracking kid and blah, 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 blah. But again, like you stick with it and it ages with you and it gets better as it goes on. So I would just say if you find yourself 3 episodes in scratching your head, just be patient, stick with it.
Yeah.
Give it a chance. It's totally worth it.
Mm-hmm. Nate, final thoughts on Ahsoka?
I mean, it was shit. No, I mean, obviously, I loved it. It's fantastic, and being a huge fan of Rebels in the Clone Wars, you don't have to have seen any of those to really love this series. But if you have, it's a love letter. Obviously, it's a continuation, and the directors kind of across the board nailed it in each and every episode. I don't think there was any weak episodes. It was very hard to. I found myself leapfrogging over episodes like, oh, now that's my new favorite. Oh, now that's my new favorite. Oh, no. And it's such a great problem to have. And it's absolute joy to go through this series, especially with my daughter and seeing her enjoy it and kind of have the same kind of reactions. C-3PO walks in. We're both like, what the fuck, C-3PO? You know, like, yeah.
It really was Anthony Daniels, by the way.
Yeah, I saw the picture of him back in the armor. I love that. Incredible that he still fits in it and that he's still willing to do that.
I know. Of course. Yeah. And that's not easy because, he was kind of like, he had to like look up at the council. Like, that's not an easy position to put your body in wearing a suit like that. So thank you, Uncle Tony. Yeah, very well cast. I mean, we got, it's sad that that's the last we'll see of Ray Stevenson as Baylan Skoll. But what an epic last scene! It was almost like this, just really poetic goodbye. I've never seen this, Natasha Liu Bordizzo in anything before. I hope we see more of her as an actress. Yeah, really impressed with her. Ivana Sakno, the Shin Hati was really interesting and engaging. I hope we see more of her. Yeah. Who am I leaving out? There was one other. Of course we can't forget Iman. What's his last name? Iman Esfandi. Iman Esfandi. As Ezra.
With the Fremen eyes.
So the contacts were a little dodgy. Yeah. Okay, if I want this, his blue eyes were a little unbelievable, but whatever. Yeah, Thrawn can have those red eyes. He can have the blue ones. We'll see what he's got in him as an actor. Maybe he'll branch out and do some other things. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But it was great in the Star Wars tradition of casting, unknown talent into a huge epic production and hopefully, launching some careers. Yeah. Because these are talented folks.
Yep, yeah. It's definitely exciting to see where they go from here, if not in just Ahsoka season 2 and beyond, the greater Star Wars universe. But yeah, just in general, just to see them out there in general will be great.
So speaking of Baylan, recasting, typically it seems like it kind of has to happen to continue the story of that character. Mm-hmm. Do you guys have any thoughts? Because the internet has some good ones, like Graham McTavish. I thought was an amazing one, even though obviously you'd have to wear a wig. Yeah. What were the other ones? I saw
Gerard Butler. I
saw Liev Schreiber. I saw
Liev Schreiber.
Interesting.
That's
he's one of my favorite actors.
Yeah, Liev Schreiber would nail it. Yeah, and no disrespect to the other people being kicked around, but Liev Schreiber doesn't. He doesn't miss.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
he's like you know what he is? Liev Schreiber's like the Gene Hackman of his generation. Like, even when he shows up in a shitty movie, he makes it watchable,
right?
So he's like this. He's like the 21st century.
I'm so excited to see him as Sabretooth in Deadpool 3. You cannot. It's not confirmed officially, but he's going to be fucking in that movie. You know this. It's going to be so good.
All right. I have to bid you a Swiss fondue, as our old coworker Greg Wilker used to say. Andy, I bid you a Swiss fondue. I've got kids to put to bed.
Of course.
But this has been a hoot. May the force be with 2 out of the 3 of you. Which one?
We'll leave it to the rest of the podcast to find out which 2 of those are. Scott, thanks so much. Wait, what? Thanks so much for coming on. When Skeleton Crew comes out, we'll get you back on and we can talk Skeleton Crew. Okay. Awesome, man. Love you, buddy. Right. Take care.
Right. Good to see you.
Yeah. Thank you, Darth Butt.
So yeah, so that can close the book on Ahsoka for now. I'm sure as season 2 starts to ramp up, we will talk about that until the cows come home.
Did we get your overall impressions?
I mean, I thought that was apparent.
What everybody else said.
No, I this put me in a spot with Star Wars where, to Scott's point, like, what's going to happen with Baylan next season? Like, how are Ahsoka? How's the group going to get home? Like, what, I know why they're going to Dathomir. Like, what's going to happen when they get to Dathomir? And
oh my God! Please let them. They might resurrect Darth Maul. And
let's
go.
Bring them back a third time. Come on,
yes.
So, and that's the exciting thing for me, is that this didn't try to hammer home a sort of a pre-existing Star Wars story, although it expanded upon Rebels, I think, in the perfect way to, to Joe's point, like, I want to go and watch Rebels now, right?
Yep.
It brought me sort of back into, okay, there are still really, really good stories out there to be told in the Star Wars universe.
It's so fun.
Yeah,
good.
and
Please give Filoni control of Star Wars.
Yeah, and I'm definitely excited to see, and to Scott's point earlier, like, you have a lot of these actors that didn't necessarily have the best experience starting their characters out, but are willing to come back because the stories are just that good, and like, they could easily say no, right, and not do this, but then you read the story and you realize this is what the character should have, or this is where the character should be now, and this is what I want to, so it's really cool to have the legacy actors come back in, re-represent these characters in this story, which I think Dave Filoni has written really, really well. So I'm just, again, super excited for the future of Star Wars from here. Just stop announcing fucking movies until they're in production.
How do you really feel about that? Because
I'm telling you right now, the Rey movie does not get made.
The
Rey movie will not get made.
Order or whatever
won't get made. Not going to happen.
I don't think
not
so.
Not going to happen. I will bet $5 right now.
I mean, that is pretty far down the line, because you've got Taika Waititi has a series, or has a movie.
That's not going to happen either.
There's also, what's the other guy?
Stop announcing. They need to stop announcing shit and literally announce it when the little thing, and it's written on the thing, like, click. Okay, we're filming it. Now we can announce it because we've paid for it.
What's it called? The thing on the
clapper?
Thing?
The what?
Yeah.
The whacking stick?
Marker.
The thwack?
The thing on the thing is so great for the people listening to this, and you're like air writing.
Right.
The
thing on the thing with the thing.
The and cut.
The and cut. Yeah.
We were talking about C-3PO, and Scott said, "Thanks, Uncle Tony." And I could not help but think, like, can we get Tony Soprano voicing C-3PO in all of the Star Wars stuff?
All right.
That'd be fucking great.
Yeah.
There's fucking droids over here.
I know all the languages.
Right.
Come on.
So let's.
How many languages do you know?
Enough.
I know enough.
Let's jump into our segments. However, so our next cast will be the Halloween horror cast, and like we did last year, we are going to give Nate 3 movies to watch, and we are going to get his reaction.
We should end with
this with Steve Palika, Mr. Soup himself. Coming on the cast and letting us know what he's watching. Those 3 movies have been chosen. So if you want to play along with us and come back in on October 25th,
something like that.
So
we should end with this, really, but
yeah, okay. we might be back on Tuesdays because
24th, I believe.
So
yeah,
we'll be
'cause the
recording.
volleyballs
We'll
are
be
over.
recording on the 24th. We will launch on the 27th. But if you want to, if you want to play along with us and watch, and then listen to us on the 27th, the 3 movies are Nowhere on Netflix, The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster, which is on Shudder, and then Blood and Honey.
Yeah.
Which you can watch on the cock.
Why didn't we end the podcast?
I just wanted to put that out there before we start talking about before we go into the horror corner and stuff like that. So again, if you want to play along, watch those movies, and we will be back on the 27th talking about all those movies, and Nate will go through his experiences watching horror movies again this year. It's the best time of the year.
Yeah. X out of 10. Really. X out of 10 side kittens.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Be prepared with your ratings, folks.
So Joe, it is that time of year. Give us the horror corner. What's going on?
So tomorrow we get the Fall of the House of Usher,
Yes.
the new Mike Flanagan series on Netflix, which I cannot wait for.
Yeah.
More of Rahul Kohli.
You mean he stopped painting long enough to painting his Warhammer minis long enough to act?
Yep, a miracle. So, and they actually, I haven't confirmed this, but I saw on Twitter they somebody said they released the first 8 minutes of the first episode.
Okay.
So you, I think, can go watch that right now, which I'll go check out after we wrap up here.
Nice.
So I ended up watching The Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Ooh, how was that?
It was really good.
Okay.
It's if you want Dracula on a pirate ship, that's exactly what you're gonna get.
Nice.
Awesome. Where'd you watch that? Was that on the
this is both of these are from Mr. Soup. So
okay. Yeah, I really want to watch that.
Yeah, really, really good. And he did not keep the ship only free of rats, but free of pretty much everything else.
I was going to say, please, no spoilers. I would like to watch it.
I know. No spoilers, but like throughout the first part of the movie, it's the story is basically, the ship that takes Dracula from Transylvania to London.
Right.
And when they're loading the ship, all I can think of is Keanu Reeves and that horrible accent, just moving boxes of decrepit earth.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, really good. A little violent.
Okay.
And little small trigger warning. Some animals don't make it.
Oh, okay.
So if you have animal
you
death,
mean people?
No, I don't care about people dying, but animals dying really hurts.
Yeah, people suck. Animals
kill all the people. Fine.
Yeah.
But spare the animals.
Kill all the people. Somebody grab that song.
Right.
Can that be the intro to her horror corner?
Yes.
Like we'll have a Vincent Price laugh and then her going, kill all the people. Fine.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I also watched Talk to Me.
Oh, how was that?
That was also really, really good.
Okay, I've been wanting to see that.
There's some side kittens involved, man, because there's like not too weird, but just a very visceral couple of gory scenes where it's just like, oh, I felt that.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
That's how I felt watching Nowhere. Just FYI.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a really interesting take on like the seance possession thing of, it's they get a embalmed hand of a dead person, and it's like becomes kind of like a college game of just like, hold the hand and talk to the dead, and and it all goes horribly wrong, of course, like it always does. Like, don't mess with dead things.
Right.
Duh.
Yeah.
But yeah, really good. Check that out. That also was from Mr. Soup server.
Okay.
But it is coming to Netflix in like a couple weeks.
Okay.
So
nice.
it'll be on Netflix. But yeah, that's my horror corner for the week.
Okay, let me append a little bit.
I've got some too.
So, Nate, I know you watched this. Totally Killer on Amazon Prime.
So
was so
good.
much fun. It is a great mix of sci-fi and horror, and really just sort of plays on almost a what if Back to the Future had a horror element to it, right?
Yeah, it's Back to the Future and
right.
Scream.
Yeah,
it's basically what it is. It's so
right.
good.
Yeah, and it's so good. I didn't like it. Just it seemed the trailer painted I think an okay picture of the movie, but the movie is just such a great payoff. So this is I I put in our chat that this was extra credit. So if we want to talk more on this next week, Joe, after you get a chance to watch it, I think it would be good.
Yeah.
I think you would love this, and I think it would be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course I did the extra credit.
Yeah,
first.
it's a wonderful.
Uh,
So Nate, I know you.
Golf clap.
I know you watched
Golf
this with
clap.
Addie. What did she think of it?
Jeez, I mean, she loved it. She watched all the Fear Streets, and I had no idea because she's pretty young for those movies.
Yeah.
I mean, 14 is older than it was when we were
Right.
14. Okay,
Yeah.
Even though we got the R-rated stuff under the access to information and imagery is just astounding. The way the things are different. She absolutely loved
Nice.
it. I laughed way too much, like cackling as a parent. But then also she was having a blast with it. She loved it. Small disclaimer, far too many blowjob jokes for me to be watching this with my 14-year-old.
As soon as I told you it was okay, she'll probably be okay. And then I thought of that scene and I'm like, oh crap. Do I say anything?
That scene, there are several. It's not one scene. Oh my god! I need to do it like a clicker counter.
Right.
On, Joe, if you watch it, count how many times they say BJ or blowjob.
Right.
Like it's.
I'm sorry,
definitely
Nate.
several dozen.
Yeah.
She's 14 in this day and age. She knows what a blowjob is.
Shut your fucking hole, Joseph.
I hate to break it to you.
Yeah.
You're doing this. More of this. I love you, Joseph.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Yeah. But a fantastic movie. Recommend it to anyone, especially people that are like horror adjacent. Like
Totally. Yeah. Another movie on Amazon Prime that we watched, Unhuman, which is a sort of a interesting take on. It's not a new take on zombies. It's just a fun sort of zombie-esque story without giving too much away. So
cool.
When you get the sort of the reveal of what's happening in the movie, you're just like, it's pretty damn brilliant. It's good. I liked it. So, and it was, it was a really good watch, and not too many recognizable actors in this, but it was such a good movie. And then VHS 85. I love the VHS series. And again, it's sort of the found footage, but obviously there's scripted little segments, and there were five really great segments. This came out, I think, a couple weeks ago. This is on Shudder, by the way. VHS 85. It's really good. It's one of the stronger, the stronger sort of VHS movies, and really great interconnected segments. So if you want some fun little jump scare things, they're really, really good.
Yeah, that's what I need to catch up on.
Oh, dude. It's great. So yeah, that's my appendage to the horror corner there.
Gross. Is Gen V horror adjacent?
I was gonna bring that up on the watch list.
I figured, yeah. I have a watch list as well. I don't think I have anything else for the horror corner.
So let's jump right into the R&R watch list. And again, it's keeping with Amazon Prime. Yeah, Gen V is such a great show. We're one episode behind right now. So, but man,
So
like it's again, you sort of worry about these spin-off shows being as good as the original. And I think Gen V's on par right now. Like it's
Easily,
really good.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think this is well cast. I love all the actors in it. I think they're playing really well. The story's great. Bringing everything along. Yeah, we can't get enough of the show right now. Like it took us a while to start it, but since we've started it, it's been, we don't have anything to watch, or if something hasn't come out yet, like we're watching it. Like it's on.
Yeah.
And so we're probably going to take in episode 5 tonight, which is great. Nate, what do you think about Gen V so far?
Oh, it's fantastic. I love the new power sets they've
yeah.
added. I love the fact that it's incredibly inclusive on purpose, which is amazing. I also love that there's some obvious things that happen, some things that you don't think would happen, but then, I mean, it's a the boys show, so there's going to be dicks everywhere. And if you're there for the dicks, you're going to be satisfied because there's a lot of tallywhackers wagging. Is this big to you? I mean, relatively.
So good.
Yeah, it's fucking good. Joe, have you watched any of this yet?
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh my god, Joe, you got to watch it. It's fucking
amazing.
I love that some of the power sets they've added. I just said that. I do love there's kind of a cloak and dagger element to it as well. I don't want to say anything too much without spoiling it because it's fantastic. So definitely watch it. It's worth the watch. For sure.
Amidst all the horror you're watching, Joe, if you get a chance to catch up on Gen V, do it.
That is on the list, and Loki's on the list.
Okay, yeah, it would be it would be great to talk Gen V with you once you get around to it. Also on Amazon, Wheel of Time. Dude, this season was so great.
It was really good. I think it was better than the first season.
It was as well. I mean, just the natural progression of these characters that we learned about in the first season, just come around, and everything just really ties the fucking room together.
The stakes get raised like crazy. There's struggle and strife and
again,
really
the VFX are fucking perfect and on par. Fantastic. And but
character development is really great across the board too. I mean, there's a lot of main characters in this for a reason, and they all get their kind of comeuppance. So.
I don't know that anybody feels sort of underplayed or underused.
No, not at all.
And I try to be as vague as I can here, but the breaking episode of the girl in the cell, dude, give them both awards. That was just
if you have any issues with interrogation, avoid
it. Man, like that episode was sort of on par with the cafe episode of the Sandman. Like it was, the series was really good, like up into that point, but then like you get to that episode and you're just like, oh my god, like
they took a leap forward in that.
I mean, and just to spend so much time with those characters just to really drive that home was so goddamn good. So man, Wheel of Time, if you haven't watched it, jump on it because it's some of the best TV out there right now. Let me jump over to Netflix real quick. The live action One Piece.
It's amazing.
So good.
I didn't watch the animated series. Addie and I watched it, and it's so
yeah. We didn't watch. I had no reference from the animated series either, and it's one of the things that's so great about this is that sometimes when you bring anime into live action, they try to ground it and make it seem like it can be real. Like they don't do that here. Like it is clearly an anime series being just fraught in live action, and they put together some really great practical sets. The restaurant was a practical set, which is incredible. The main actor, he was in The Imperfects, which was another really great episode. He played a werewolf in there, the guy who plays Monkey D. Luffy. And so we knew him from that, but man, he is like so charismatic, so great, like so perfect as the lead. But man, this was like, this is such a great show. So if you like anime style and you want this just fantastical story, it's so good. And it was one of those shows that just immediately shot to the top of our list and put everything else on hold. It was that good.
Yep.
So yeah,
100%.
yeah.
All right, that's going on the list too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So it's anime pirates in live action.
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah.
It's fucking fantastic. Yeah. So
I'm still butthurt for Cowboy Bebop, so I'm just like,
yeah, you're gonna have to let that one.
I'm a little like just fucking One Piece.
You're gonna have to
Cowboy Bebop
Adina
season
Menzel. Yeah, you're gonna have to Adina Menzel that
Right.
show, Joe.
Yeah.
Just let it go.
Yeah. No, Joe, this won't disappoint in any way, shape, or form. Like, it's so good and just so well done. And again, it's just really well written and put together. So it's fantastic. Moving on to Hulu, Only Murders in the Building, season 3. Such a great season. Paul Rudd, fantastic in this. Oh man, it's so good. And I mean, Steve Martin Short, they're like, these roles were just like, they're perfect for him. So much fun. And then American Horror Story Delicate started a couple episodes in. So far so good. Eerily creepy and doing very well. So we're only a couple episodes in there, so there's not too much to report on that yet, but so far so good. I like what I'm watching. Paramount Plus, we're cruising through Star Trek Lower Decks. Such a strong season.
Yeah, right. I forgot about
so well
that.
done.
I think I started it.
And yeah, that's it for my watch list. Nate, what do you got on yours?
Yeah, so I've been voraciously consuming content this month. Apparently, I'm one episode behind on The Continental, which is the new series in the John Wick universe, but like in the 60s. Fantastic. Watch that. It's really good. Let's see. We did the One Piece. We talked about Totally Killer. Addie and I went and saw The Creator in IMAX.
Nice.
Fantastic. I think we talked about this last time, but yeah, fantastic movie, worth seeing in the theater. But also felt like it was the sequel or the end of a trilogy. It kind of expected a lot, like that you would know a lot of things ahead of time, and really skipped over a bunch of stuff. And it wasn't even a really long movie. Like, it could have been a 3-hour movie and it would have filled a lot of those gaps. But yeah, visually stunning. Apparently the director shot it on like a $5,000 camera, which is, a tenth of what a camera would cost. Not even a tenth, 1% of what an IMAX camera costs. But it looks fantastic and the world's amazing. So hopefully we'll get some kind of prequel or something else in that world. Definitely worth watching. But the edits were weird, and there's a bunch of stuff I could talk about, but we'll keep it short. Talked about Wheel of Time, fucking tastic. I consumed that so quickly. I think that was a couple days maybe, and then got through that season. Let's see, what is The Covenant on Prime? Also, we talked about that before, I think.
Oh, is this the Wiki spinoff?
Yeah, we talked about that already. No, Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. Okay. Yeah, we talked about that. Really, great movie. With Jake Gyllenhaal. We talked about that, I think, on the last pod. What else did I have on this list? We did the One Piece, the Continental. Oh, Foundation.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Holy shit, man. I can't believe I slept on this show.
After how long of me tooting it
I know
on our podcast?
I know. I mean, not that long compared to some of the other stuff, but for a long time,
come on.
Like, dude, you gotta watch it. Dude, you gotta watch it. Dude, you gotta watch it. I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I was able to consume 2 seasons in under a week. This is the show that was like, just one.
Yeah.
I gotta go to sleep, but just
right.
I gotta go to sleep and just it's so it's like mind-blowing sci-fi. And I know it's based on like some of the original sci-fi from the 50s, 60s.
Isaac Asimov.
Asimov's right. They actually referenced the 3 laws of robotics in it, which is great. It's like redefining sci-fi for me. Honestly.
I mean,
it's so fucking good.
It is. It doesn't like there's no other show that really like it out there.
Yeah, I haven't seen acting like this ever.
Right.
Maybe like I mean, across the board too, but specifically with a couple of the main actors. Obviously, I'd have to look it up again, but man. So I started watching this with Addie, and the first episode, and we really liked it. And she's like, "Okay, this is going to be our new show." It's like, okay. And then she was gone, and then she came back, and no, hang on, I didn't watch any. She came back, and then I was like, Addie, we should watch more of that Foundation show. It was really good. She's like, I'm not really feeling it. Just like wishy-washy teenager. And so I was like, okay. Yeah, exactly. And I fucking steamrolled through it. She came in, must have been, she got out of the shower or something like that on a Thursday. No, it was like Tuesday or something. And I was in season 2.
Yeah.
And she's like, wait, you're watching this show without me? Thinking it was like episode 2.
Oh no. You're like, you said you didn't want to watch
and when
it.
I told her it was the second season, she got like angry.
Oh
crying,
no.
like angry. Like she teared up, but angry tears.
Oh, dude.
This was like, wait, what? You didn't want to? I tried to get you to watch it. You didn't want. This was going to be our show. Yeah. Fuck. I mean, there's some stuff in there that's not very appropriate, but it's really the story is so fantastic and it's so well done, and it's one of those shows that if you like, you feel lesser. If I hadn't watched this, like something was missing.
Sure.
Does that make
absolutely.
sense? Like it's that fucking good. And the acting is like, okay, so the only thing I really remember of Lee Pace is Ronan, the accuser from Marvel shit, right? The guy plays himself in several different iterations across several different generations and is just oozing gravitas all over the place. Gross. Grosser than I meant it to be. Literally and figuratively. And is fantastic, but he is the least of the bright lights in this show.
Yeah.
Like, he's the headliner. He is not the star, if that makes sense. Like, Laura Birin, Demerzal,
oh yeah,
whatever, the handmaiden.
Oh, dude,
is some of the best acting I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Aaliyah Harvey as Salvor, Lou LaBelle as Galdornik, and obviously Jared Harris as Harry Seldon.
Yeah.
I can't say enough. It's if you don't watch this, you're gonna be missing out. That's like, I can't form words. It's just fucking watch it. Give it one episode and you'll be
I totally agree. And I just, again, it's such an expansive world. It's such a in a way, a singular story that reaches so many people in so many different ways, and everybody's got stake in it. I mean, to say it's Game of Thrones in space is a disservice almost. It's
100%.
It's better.
It's Game of Thrones and Dune and every other amazing generationally spanning intrigue.
It's all the best. It's all the best parts of those shows, like wrapped into one, and like just executed on the absolute just like highest level. So, thank you for watching it. Thank you for coming in.
Well, and I gotta shout out Annie Awesome because she was on that.
Also. Oh yeah,
you really should watch this. And I don't remember if she pulled it because she listens to the podcast. I'm not sure if she pulled it off your reco or if she had watched it already. But man,
dude, it's just like, oh man,
there's a oh my god, there's a 1-star review from a guy 3 years ago. Jeremy Baker, fuck you.
Let's Jay and Silent Bob his ass. Are you Jeremy Baker from IMDb? All right, listen, we're gonna
Yeah,
go.
I'm gonna put soap in a sock, and we're gonna hold you down and beat you to
Right.
death with it.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, fantastic show. It's on Apple TV. Fucking watch it. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Marvel Minute.
Oh shit! I got to talk some more. Wah, 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 wah. Yeah, Marvel just fired the writers of Phase 5's biggest new show. They basically, what appears to have happened is that Kevin Feige was able to review all of the stuff they had shot for Daredevil Born Again and said, nope, this isn't cutting it. You're fired. And they're going to basically redo all of Daredevil Born Again, which apparently they were halfway done with the 18 episodes.
No.
Yeah. Apparently they were shooting a law procedural like She-Hulk-ish.
Oh.
When anyone who is coming to a Daredevil show from, like, especially if they'd watch Netflix, it's like an action drama. It's amazing. And this is after they've already confirmed that Jessica Jones is going to be in it. John Bernthal's Punisher is going to be in it. Like, it's going to be fantastic. They're basically going to continue the show from Netflix. And Kevin Feige is like, no, this isn't cutting it. They're really trying to crack down on quality control.
Good for him,
because it's gotten
loose.
Yeah, so it's going to delay everything, but I'm glad. I would not have wanted to see a fucking Ally McBeal version of that,
especially 24 episodes of one, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So hopefully it gets back on track, and they really should take their cues from the Netflix show. The Netflix show was fucking fantastic. What else do we got here? Deadpool 3 slated to release in theaters May 3rd, 2024. Most likely going to get pushed, but that's the official date that they just released. All kinds of stuff flying around about who's going to be in it, and it's basically going to be everyone. It looks like it's going to be everyone who's ever been in a Fox anything. They literally kill 20th Century Fox's logo in the movie. Apparently, it's in like some alt world. There apparently is going to be some tie-in with Loki, season 2 potentially. So we'll see how that ends up. Oh, that was the other thing for the watch list was Loki season 2. We'll talk about it at the end. Will Moon Knight season 2 be made? Short version of that is no. Apparently that was all of the Marvel shows in this phase were meant to just be a one and done with the exception of Loki.
Okay.
So he really wants to make it. This is the executive producer / director really wants to make another season. People have been asking for it. They left it on a really good cliffhanger. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see more of it. It probably won't be in its own thing. It might be continued in some kind of crossover other TV thing, or maybe a what if
like they'll salt and pepper him into other shows and stuff like that.
Yeah, potentially. I think that would make a lot of sense, especially if they start doing like Dark Suns.
Oh, sure.
And that kind of thing, which would be super cool. So, let's see. Since everyone's talking about Taylor Swift lately and Travis Kelce, there's a couple pictures from that luxury box where she showed up to watch Travis Kelce play football. That's sparking rumors she's going to be in Deadpool 3 because it's her and Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman and the director of Deadpool 3 in the same room. So, big ups to Dazzler potentially in the MCU, which would make so much sense because she's a singer that can control light in fucking Marvel. So there you go. It'd be kind of be perfect. Addie's all about the Tay-Tay. So there you go.
2 points off for saying Tay-Tay.
No, I get so many more points in the real world than that is worth on the podcast.
I get it.
I bought her tickets to go see the movie experience because I can't afford $3,000 a seat to see the actual show. So I sent her and her mom are going to go do that for.
That's nice.
Fun. It's like she asked me if I wanted to go, and I really should go, and I want to experience that with her. But a theater full of tweens for 3.5 hours singing Taylor Swift, Just kill me ahead of time now. Just now. Just do it, Joe.
Yeah.
Please. I'll look at the flowers,
Right. Yeah.
and you can. Yeah, it'll be over. So they're gonna have a good time with that. Let's see. So the Agatha Harkness series got renamed again. It's expected to land next September. Agatha, the Darkhold Diaries, which sounds like it's. What the fuck is that supposed to be? 16
I know.
candles
Is
continued.
it a CW show now?
Yeah, exactly. Right. They keep adding new actresses and new actors to it. It sounds amazing. It looks like it's going to take place right after the Multiverse of Madness or whatever, with the Scarlet Witch dying, which she didn't die, but and go from there, kind of Agatha without her powers and figuring it out. So cool. I'm down for all that. Let's see. And then finally, there's not a lot of news really for the last couple months because of the strike, I guess. So Marvel Studios, via a recent copyright filing, confirmed that Sacha Baron Cohen is part of the main cast of the Ironheart series, and everyone is Mephisto apparently is what he's going to play. So that was speculation for a long time, but they finally confirmed that he's actually in the MCU, which I'm very nice. And that's it.
Loki.
Oh, and Loki.
Yeah,
Loki season 2
on.
started. I fell asleep 3 times.
What?
In the first episode?
What?
Yeah, I was
Were
really
you time
tired,
slipping?
man. I was up.
Nate was time slipping.
5:30 in the morning. Yeah, it was not a good thing. I rewatched it. It's really good. It's amazing, and we get short round in the MCU, so worth it just there. But yeah, I'm excited to see where that goes. So excited that Addie and I planned our day yesterday around Loki, because Tuesday. It's Thursdays.
Yep.
We're both like, she gets out of the shower. We're ready to go. All right, click. One episode.
Right. Yeah.
God,
Ahsoka was Tuesday. Loki is Thursday. All right.
No, man. Killed me. Anyway.
Nice. So yeah. So what did you guys think of Ahsoka? How do you think this sits in Star Wars, the Star Wars universe so far? Is Star Wars back? Are we good? Let us know in the comments. You can find us on Facebook at the Rum and Regret Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at rum_regret. You can also find us on other socials, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. Look for us. Joe, where can they find you?
At Joe Chickadee on the socials, or at joechickadee.com.
Nate, where can they find you?
Yeah, Avid Gamer, AV1D Gamer on all the socials and your gaming platforms of choice.
Yeah, Crazy Drake on PS here. Come fight me in Mortal Kombat 1. I'm there. See if you can beat my Johnny Cage. You can find me. You can find me on Crazy Drake at Facebook, Andrew Drake on Twitter, and until the next time, we have spoken. I was going to give you a little Marvel this time, Nate. That's.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.